tools to help you share the gospel message. I've worked with a number of different tools that have been very, very helpful for evangelization purposes, and I'm going to go through them, not in any specific order, and then in the course material I will be you'll see actual more information on each of these resources, but just to kind of quickly go through some of the tools that I have found very, very helpful. So the first tool that I found most helpful was the Catholic Disciple. This is a discipleship series that was written by Father Bob Bedard, the founder of the Companions of the Cross. And I found the content for this excellent. I was able to use it for evangelizing and doing some initial discipleship on young people of every age, including children. The first part of the discipleship series is the basic gospel message, the teaching about the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, how to have a relationship with the Trinity. And then how to live out this discipleship, how to have a life of prayer, the call to be integrated with community, the call to evangelize, the call to grow in holiness. And this discipleship series was just very accessible, written in a very accessible form. And there are some folks that have taken it and then applied it to their parish, and I'll give you a link to that resource as well. So the Catholic Disciple, or the Catholic Discipleship series. Another program that can be excellent is the Life in the Spirit Seminar, or another version of it that's called the Holy Spirit Seminar. Now it's excellent for evangelizing people. It doesn't go into a lot of depth about discipling, a little bit. It kind of gives you a bit of a vision for the 5 or 6 key areas you need to focus on to stay strong in this decision for Jesus that you've made. But it's excellent because it presents the gospel message and it really outlines the role of the Holy Spirit. Often in evangelization programs, or in primary evangelization programs where the charisma is presented, sometimes the Holy Spirit is underemphasized, but the Life in the Spirit Seminar, or the Holy Spirit Seminar, is very, very good, and I'll put some links in for that so you can see where that is. The third excellent resource is the Alpha program. The Alpha program is fantastic because if you lead it as they prescribe it, it's fantastic for bringing in people that have no faith context. Sometimes the challenge with Alpha is that the leaders, the small group leaders, don't always kind of follow kind of the guidance, and they'll use the small group time as a way to kind of catechize people, which isn't where you want to go unless it seems clear that the whole group kind of brings up an issue. But if you follow Alpha by the book, it's fantastic for bringing in people. There isn't any reason why someone shouldn't feel completely at ease coming into Alpha. And Alpha is really good too, in that it does invite people into a relationship with the Lord, to make a commitment. And then they also have an excellent emphasis on the role of the Holy Spirit. So Alpha is a really, really good resource. The next resource that's fantastic is the faith studies from Catholic Christian Outreach. And just my usual disclosure, I work for CCO, so just to make that disclaimer. But it is fantastic for evangelizing people and getting them on the early road to discipleship, as well as teaching them how they now in turn need to go and evangelize. So this is an absolutely fantastic program. And it's not just the charismatic and the catechetical and training content that's so good, but all of the processes around it. This whole program is to be run under a process called intentional accompaniment. So CCO, when they look at this, they look at it from a threefold perspective, which is very, very balanced. So they see they've got the program part. The CCO program is excellent because it's not just about the program, but it's also about the people and the paraclete. So sometimes, like, a lot of evangelistic programs is like, well, let's just get people through the program. Well, no, you need to realize that a program is good because then it can give you a structure and a flow. The problem with an overemphasis on a program is that it kind of can promote a one-size-fits-all. And so at the same time, when you're taking people through the program, you need to understand that everyone's different. So you need to realize that you need to take people through this sort of standardized program, but also need to look at each person as one person at a time. And then, of course, real conversion and real discipleship only happens in the power of the Holy Spirit. So that's why I like the CCO Faith Studies, because they have program, people, and paraclete under this whole process of intentional accompaniment. And I'll give you links to those resources as well. Now, there's some other excellent resources for sharing the gospel in a short fashion. Sometimes you're in situations where you're sharing the gospel and it's an initial presentation of the gospel. There are some other resources that are excellent when you don't necessarily have a full teaching context to share the gospel. You only have a limited period of time, or you want to be able to kind of share the gospel message as a precursor to some of these other things. So again, from CCO, a little booklet called The Ultimate Relationship. And it's a beautiful presentation of the gospel. And you could present the gospel, within 5 to 10 minutes. And there's some resources that can train you on how to go through it. It's fantastic. And then finally, another evangelistic tool, again, when you have a short period of time, is Jesus at the Door. It's another fantastic way to present the gospel in an even shorter period of time than the ultimate relationship. So these are some awesome resources you can use. I've used them all myself. I found them to be extremely effective, and I'll give you links so you can get more information on each of those.